have the Leader 120 right here. Leader 120. This has an F3 board. We're about to go through the setup for Betaflight 3.5.2. So here's hoping. Try to keep my buzzer down. We're on configurator 10.4. This is Betaflight 3.5.2, which should have some of the good stuff re-enabled. Things that were taken out. I was using a performance version of Betaflight 4.0 that was a dev version that put in smart feed forward and the iTerm relax and RC smoothing. So that should be hopefully back in on this. While I'm fumbling around here, can y'all hit the like and subscribe button down below? I'm trying to get back to 1,000 subscribers so I can be where I was before the adpocalypse hit in YouTube, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for all your support. Has a number of updates, including the one that I'm most interested in is this: removed features on multiple targets. Also did a bunch of fixes, tons of fixes. And since my leader has been doing, it's been coming down with warm motors unless the temperature outside's really cool, I thought it would be a great update. In case you're wondering, this is the easiest version to, since I went to 10.4, this becomes the easiest way I've ever seen to flash your version, which is just to connect your quad, hit activate bootloader. Actually, why don't we just run through this? We're going to do it. Firmware flasher. Make sure you have the right one. Make sure this up here, which you can't see because my head says DFU. And I like all of these. I'm going to choose 3.5.2. Hit flash. Flashing. So, if you do have any problems with this, it's normally not in DFU mode. There are tons of videos around on how that works. So, be very careful. If you hear my beeper right now, it's going off because my USB outputs 3 volts and not something higher. So one of the first things I always do is turn this down to 2.9 and 2.9. And then I reconnect one more time after saving because I don't like hearing beeping all the time. All right. Successfully open. So we're just going to run through my settings and what I do and how I fly as soon as it connects. Easy stuff so far. We'll have to cut some of this out. So yeah, I did not back up any of my settings because they've made it so much easier to go through all of these now. My UART 3 is serial. That's a save and reboot. That is so I can arming disabled. That is very important. So now we have this config. Always fun. I'm on D-Shot 600. I do like my idle to be about 4.5, 4.7 maybe. Actually, I do like 4.7. Board orientation is zeroed out. 8K, 2K, actually go 8K, 4K, I want to say. I don't use my accelerometer, or I don't have a barometer, so that's easy. While I'm here, going to go to serial based, make sure that works. I use iBus, make sure that works. I have OSD, anti-gravity, dynamic, and you want to enable air mode. I have no idea why this is not permanently enabled. It should always be enabled. If you don't enable it and you cut throttle in the middle of the flight, you just go wild and it will scare the heck out of you and chances are you won't recover. You might, but I doubt it. I don't think most people recover. I always turn off this beep with USB. However, it does not always seem to work because it always beeps. So we're going to try again. Did this work? Nope, still beeping. I have my finger over the beeper, so I don't hear this stupid thing. Okay, ports, still good. Configuration, make sure everything is good. D-Shot, 8K. When you're selecting this with the dynamic filter, make sure your CPU load is under 50%. So 28, we are in great shape here. On F4 boards, it's really hard to get up to anything like that. So we're good here. Power battery, I'm at 3.2. This will be the last thing I change. I have no current meter source, so don't even try. Save that. I have no scale. Failsafe. Stage 1 is that. I don't have a switch, so I don't worry about it. Guard time is 0.4 seconds. Actually, I like to go with 8. And I want it to drop. Do not want to land. Failback settings, auto. Yes, you want auto. That way it just kind of falls out of the sky. Save and reboot. Try again. We're about to get to the good stuff. If it connects. There we go. Sometimes the F3 board, it's a little iffy there. These are defaults. They actually fly very well. Feed forward of 60 is pretty good. I'm going to put my transition at 0.2. That way I get a little bit of slop around the center. This just puts it as, makes your center a little bit less sticky. Smart feed forward, I-term relax, I do like. I-term rotation is on by default. That's great. Absolute control is not something I do. Throttle boost is amazing. So I always keep this at 5 or even 8. Normally when you do power loops or something, when you're coming out of it, I have a tendency to hit the ground at that point because this is a 2-inch and it's never more than like 10 feet off the ground. And it goes down to cutting the grass. So I just put that as 5. Just helps me bump up at, sharp throttle inputs. Love it. 0.77. 7.5, is that right? Nope. 7.7. 7.5, there we go. 7.5. I like high rates for the 2 inches. It makes everything feel so much better. But I've finally trained my thumbs to not be overly jerky. So, anti-gravity mode, anti-gravity gain. Ooh, smooth. This one is great. Gravity gain 5 sounds good. TPA breakpoint, we're going to save here. So take note, I don't really care about absolute control. And that is because I don't fly line of sight very much. These I leave as default. If you'll notice, gyro notch filters are off, as are D-term and low pass. So yay. All right. Let's see. Ooh, and these seem to be enabled. So it looks like these features are back. So smart feed forward and I-term relax is back. That's great. Going to receiver now. Smoothing type filter. All channels. Input cutoff. PT1 is great. Derivative. And I leave all these on, but I do want smoothing filter. This makes a huge difference. So we're going to see if it's enabled. And I know someone's so RC smoothing is not enabled yet. Darn it. I did like that. So I might be going back to a performance version, but we'll see how it flies. Or I wonder if RPY will do it. New. So smoothing type, not quite there yet. I wish. Oh well, that's okay. Interpolation. Not worth it. Okay. Save. I guess there's not much I always do here. I do like my low threshold to be lower. I don't care about my high threshold. Yeah, sounds good. Modes. Going to get my controller for this. They made this really easy. So, I don't know if I've shown it before, but I added, well, I know I've shown it this. I added a USB. This is a 5 volt. It's USB and outputs 5 volts. I soldered that into the cables here. Just opened the controller and soldered it into the cables. So I now have the ability to do a few things. One, so this will convert. Oh, let's see. Shoot, I can't get my. I basically got tired of burning through AA batteries. So I have this module that will take an input and put a JST. It'll take an input 3.7 volts and it will convert it to 5 volts and put it through. This has no battery protection, so you have to monitor your 1S batteries. But this little mod allows me to take a simple, one of the old battery packs where I had a good cell left, and this is a good one. And I can just plug it in like so. Oh, yeah, so this battery's dead. Wow, yeah, this battery's actually dead, but it will run off one LiPo battery now. This battery's dead, and I think the cell is about to kick the bucket. So I'm going to salvage that one. It was an old cell anyway, but now it feels puffy. So that's a bad sign. But the other advantage of this, so I have this little thing. I can plug in a 1S battery and not use AA batteries. I can also plug in a WeMOS charger that has a USB, micro USB, and it has a 5 volt out, and it has a LiPo in, 3.7 in. So what this gives me the option of doing is plugging in. So I can plug it into my 5 volt up converter. So now, for the most fun part, I can actually plug in USB. This is a phone charger to my thing, and I get a clean 5.05 out, which you can't see that, but it's 5.05 volts out. And that way I can play simulators, or I can do stuff like this without simply having batteries. And I hate using batteries. So now we're going to, we have not set an arm. So we're going to set our arm here. And the way you do this in the new Betaflight version is awesome. So add range, auto, we're going to slide this up, and all we do is flip a switch. And so now my arm switch is here. And I love this new way of doing this. So if I want to fail safe, I just flip a different switch. And that's awesome. I do want a beeper, so beeper I always put on a roller. And that's awesome. I don't care about OSD, blah, blah, blah. I don't like angle mix anymore, so I don't use it. I do like turtle mode. You know what? I'm going to turn off my failsafe. I'm going to turn this one off. And I'm going to put in turtle mode. So flip it over. It's aux 3 now. And it looks like they took out FPV trainer or line of sight trainer. Oh no, maybe. Oh yeah. You have, for line of sight trainer, you have to have your accelerometer on, and I turned mine off. So now I have flip over after crash, which I don't use much outside because with the 2-inch, it once it hits grass, it's already buried in it, so it can't really do much. But I might get lucky if I land on concrete and don't break anything. Who knows with this thing anymore? So those are going to be my switches. Do I need anything else? Pre-arm if I wanted to be really safe. That's actually it. They took away head free mode. Oh, once again, because I don't have my accelerometer on. So we're going to save that. Oh, that's my beeper. Beeper works. Beeper works. All right. Adjustments, I don't do anything to. Servos, no. Motors, I'm going to trust they're good. OSD, here's fun. No, we do not ever switch all on, but for OSD, I do like main battery. I like timers, both timers. I don't care about fly. I do like throttle. Power doesn't work for my warning. Average cell, that one's very good. Angles, numerical, ESC, yada, yada, yada. G-force is new. That's pretty cool. Anti-gravity, pretty cool. I'm not sure if G-force actually works without an accelerometer. And I don't want to turn that back on, but I want to see if it does anything or not. So we're going to move voltage way up. Going to move. This is anti-gravity. All this does is flash whenever you jab the throttle to show the anti-gravity mode is working and when it's working. I have used it to smooth out my inputs, so I actually like it a lot more than I thought I would. I'm going to put my throttle value up here, fly minutes over here, on minutes up here. This is my total voltage, which I don't really use. So I only have 2. I'm going to turn that off. I don't care about that. Main battery voltage gone. 1G. I know 1G will work with the larger ones. I move my warnings down a bit so that I don't get annoyed. All right. And warnings. Warnings are all good. Visual beeper's good. And post-flight stats, timers. I don't have a max speed. I do have in battery. I do want in battery. I do want battery voltage. I don't want RSSI because I don't have it. I don't have current. I don't have image. I don't have a black box. I don't have a black box. That's about it. We're going to save. And that, my good friends, should do it. Oh, boy. That's nice. See if there's any RC smoothing. And there is not. So now RC smoothing is gone. That sucks. It is interpolated, so hopefully that will work out well. Air mode starts. RC. Okay. Well, that's cool. And that will conclude it. We're about to go test, so wish me luck. All right. That's going to do it. Thank you again. Here comes the test. See how this works. So here we are. If you've been following along on the channel, you'll know I moved my camera to the upper slot on the Leader 120's frame, which makes the camera exposed, but it also gives you a lot more options for how much up tilt you'll have And I noticed when I took off on this flight that I had way too much up tilt. So I'm screaming across the backyard and loving how it flies. This is phenomenal in that I'm doing all these whip turns without a single bit of prop wash and having a lot of fun with it. But right now I'm trying to figure out just how much up tilt I have. And it's about 45 degrees, which for me is quite a bit. So in a second here, I'm going to have a wipeout, and yeah, it was fun. But anyway, I normally don't fly this far. My backyard's only 60 feet wide, so it doesn't give you too much room. And I have 5 trees that I use as little markers, and I have fences that that almost hit. I end up, just coming close to. But here we go. Gonna go a little bump up and come down. Missed it. Yay, I'm in the cleat. No, there's a brush. So yeah, we're going to jump over to the next flight up, and here we go again. I have barely moved it down, but if you'll notice, you can't see my propeller in view, so I'm still about 40 degrees here. But anyway, what I have noticed, especially after that wreck, the motors were way cooler than they were with the with Betaflight 3.5.0. Motors were way cooler. I have done 0 PID tuning. I've changed none of the defaults other than my rates, which makes this fly phenomenally well. I actually can't really describe just how good this feels. But with the smart feed forward set at 0.2, it gives me a little bit of leeway around the center sticks. And with the high rates I normally use, I still just kind of buzz around. This is phenomenal, quite honestly. The battery itself, it seems like my battery voltage is reporting a little bit more correctly than it was. Before, if I was flying around like this, I'd be getting low warnings by now. And low warning for me is anything above below 3.3. Generally, I'll start seeing flashes, and here I'm still above it and flying. I think I almost get 5 minutes out of this one, even with it being at 3.4, just whipping around. And what I'm trying to do here is induce a lot of prop wash, seeing if it'll happen, and it's not. And I thought maybe the D term was a lot higher, and that's why I'm not getting any of the prop wash. But if the D term is higher, it's not causing any motor issues like it was on the older version. So I have to give my hand for this. I was concerned the RC smoothing would make a difference, and it may have. I don't think so, though, because this feels so much. It feels like it has it on there, but I know it doesn't, since it didn't have the option, didn't save. The iTerm relaxes on. And one thing I am noticing, if you look in the upper left corner above my throttle position, you'll see an AG flash. That's the anti-gravity. It does not flash nearly as much as it did before. So I don't know if I'm flying differently, or if it's not set as high, or if it's not as sensitive, or if it has a different way of doing its job. I don't know. But what I am noticing is that everything moves exactly how I want it to move, and it feels great. So I'm highly recommending 3.5.2, especially if you have an F3 board. Before, I was using performance editions to get some of the features, like the iTerm Relax. That was one of the features that made the biggest difference to me, and the other filtering instead of interpolation. Smart feed forward was very good as well. So we're going to wrap it up here. Got almost 5 minutes flight time out of that, and y'all have a good one.